Alexander goes off for a huge crease. Steps through a tackle. He'll take it the distance.
Last play of the game, it's intercepted, and this ball game is over. Loads up, wide open, and then not. Intercepted by Jeremiah Irby.
And a design run. Lost the football, picked up by Cal. Jackson Sermon will scoot it along. The scoop and score. It is a gorgeous day for spring football. We're in the East Bay at Memorial Stadium in Berkeley for the Cal Football Spring Showcase, our first look at the 2023 California Golden Bears. Along with former Cal great Shane Vereen, Roxy Bernstein with you. So much excitement here. Spring football wrapping up. When you look at this team getting ready for 2023, what are you looking forward to the most today, Shane, in this spring football showcase?
I'm looking for competition. I'm looking for excitement. You get so mundane playing against the same team and the same defense over and over again. You kind of want to let it loose. And this is the perfect atmosphere and environment to do that.
Well, the offense is going to be under the microscope. A new look offense for Cal. Jake Spavital comes back to Cal a second go-around as the offensive coordinator for Cal football.
Yeah, he was here in 2016, but this team has changed tremendously since he was here the first time. And he's so excited to get his new offense implemented and really, put some points on the board.
And a new quarterback coming in via the transfer portal, Sam Jackson V, takes over and provides a different dimension for Cal.
A dimension that Cal really hasn't seen since the likes of Chase Garbers. His ability to move the pocket, his ability to use his feet and use his athleticism to really matriculate the ball down the field.
He'll have a key weapon back. Last year, a freshman All-American, Jaden Ott, announced his presence, one of the featured running backs in the Pac-12.
One of my favorite running backs in the conference. He did it as a freshman. Can he do it again as a sophomore? I think a lot of that is going to depend on the offensive line and the receiving core and how this offense, really gels.
Speaking of receiving core, Jeremiah Hunter led Cal in receiving last year, and he's back. And he's going to be a focal point for this offense.
Oh, absolutely. And defenses are going to know that. So he's going to have to up his game that much more. But this is an offense where receivers, especially of the likes of him, can really shine.
The other side of the football, that's Justin Wilcox's baby. He's a defensive guy. Had to be a frustrating season last year. Now, like Del Shane, with so many injuries on the defensive side, there's things to clean up, some guys coming in via the transfer portal. But this is a defense, if they can stay healthy, there's real potential.
Well, the coaching, you're not going to find better defensive coaching in the nation. And there's three things they need to get better at, and that's third down, big explosive plays in the pass game, and big explosive plays in the run game. If they can tighten those things up, this defense will have a much better year.
Brett Johnson will be back, which is a good thing, but Jackson Sermon also is back. Cal's leading tackler a year ago as a first-team All-Pac-12 performer.
Yeah, fourth in the conference in tackles a year ago. His dad's the defensive coordinator, so he probably knew football coming out the womb.
And Craig Woodson also in the second year. The coaches have been raving about him.
He's had a really good spring. The last couple of years dealing with injuries. Now the knee brace is off and he's back.
And they're glad he's back, as he's going to be an experienced weapon in the defensive backfield. We'll watch the Bears next. Beautiful day at Memorial Stadium in Berkeley for the Cal Football Spring Showcase, along with Shane Vereen, Roxy Bernstein, joined by the head coach of the Cal Bears, Justin Wilcox. And Justin, appreciate your time. Walk us through, what's the spring been like for your program?
Well, it's been a lot of good work culminating today, but I think from practice one till now, a significant improvement across the board. Different style of play, you'll see that, and a lot of new faces. And it's been pretty impressive, especially offensively, to watch that group come together so quickly. We're going to need more work, there's no doubt about it, but we've made some significant gains in a pretty short amount of time, and that's a credit to the coaches and the players that are new.
Coach, me and Roxy are extremely excited to see what you guys have been working on this spring, but what do you aim to get out of today?
Yeah, obviously we'll have kind of a limited menu on both sides of the ball, but really looking for rhythm, offensive rhythm, defensive rhythm. And when one side of the ball makes a play, that it's an earned play. We're looking for good football, and I think the guys have gotten better and better at that throughout. Obviously, a little different stage today, more game-like. Coaches off the field, you got the officials, you got people in the stands. It's on TV, which is great. We want to see people, our players, go compete in that environment.
Last thing for you, Justin, you alluded to some of the changes we're going to see. New offensive coordinator Jake Spavital returns to Cal. What can we expect from your new offense?
Yeah, it'll look different, formations and groupings, and some of the style of play in terms of some of the run and pass schemes are different. But Jake is an excellent coach, and I've known that a long time, and we're seeing it firsthand. The way the players have developed in a short amount of time, again, it's been very, very impressive. So it'll be sped up and spread out.
Justin, appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Go Bears.
Well, the Bears against the Bears today is Justin Wilcox joining us. There is Peter Sermon, Cal's defensive coordinator, getting his guys ready to go. You see the defense wearing the white today. The offense is in the navy blue, and the quarterbacks will be in gold, which means don't touch the quarterback. This is the schedule for today. We'll start with 11 on 11. Today is, look, it's not a game, Shane, but there's a lot of competition going on.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not going to come out and have a full-fledged game, you got to make it interesting. You got to make it competitive. And they've done a great job of scripting a practice today for the next hour and a half that we're really going to enjoy, because every single period is going to be competition-based.
We'll start with this is the #1 offense against the #1 defense. From the 25, that is Sam Jackson, the transfer from TCU at quarterback. Limited opportunities at TCU. But the electric quarterback. And on first down, he takes a deep shot for Jeremiah Hunter, and he makes the catch. Beats Lamontia Hearns, but what a throw from Jackson.
That was a great throw, but not only that, that was the reason why the throw was so great. Lamontia Hearns was in perfect position for a DB, but just not good enough. Good defense is always going to lose to better offense.
And a big chunk play as Cal goes 37 yards, and Jackson's completion will throw again here. Flushed out of the pocket on the move.
And this is where he's special, able to extend plays. I understand that good tackle for the loss, good job by the defensive line for Cal. But that's what Jackson brings to the table: ability to escape, ability to create space and extend plays.
So Sam Jackson is originally a 4-star recruit. He's out of the Chicago area. Went to TCU, was ranked in ESPN's 300 among the top 300 recruits in the country. And he chose the Horned Frogs. This is a carry for Ashton Stredick, the sophomore running back from Needville, Texas. But Jackson chose TCU over the likes of Oregon, Notre Dame, Purdue, Minnesota. A lot of people were looking at him as a receiver, as a quarterback. He said, I'm a quarterback, that's what I want to do. And that's why he transferred to Cal, looking for that opportunity to take over a program.
Yeah, and he's always loved California, which is rare to hear from somebody that chooses Texas. But he's always felt a connection to the Bay Area, and this was his first choice.
And he had a great time in Southern California when he was a part of that TCU team that played for the national championship down at SoFi Stadium, as Ashton Stredick is hauled down by Jackson Sermon, going up the middle along with Miles Williams right there. But Jackson has been running with the ones the entire spring. The only challenge right now he'll be getting internally is from Fernando Mendoza, the redshirt freshman who the Cal coaches are really high on. We'll see Mendoza leading the 2 offense.
Yeah, it's good. We're going to see 2 different styles of offense. Mendoza is more of a pocket passer, and Jackson is more of a guy that likes to use his athleticism and his feet.
And the Colorado Buffaloes saw that firsthand last September at Folsom Field with a long touchdown run. In fact, Jackson, who played in 5 games for TCU last year, there's his escapability under pressure, gets rid of it, coming back. Maven Anderson makes the catch, and that will be a first down inside the 25. But in 5 games last year, Jackson was 5 for 5 through the air. And then he ran 9 times for 64 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. In fact, Jackson is a perfect 6 for 6 in his college career in his brief appearances over 2 years with the Horned Frogs.
It's not a bad way to start. And he just converted a 4th down. I believe it was 4th and 8, but he was able to scramble out of the pocket, and a nice catch to Maven Anderson.
So these are the Cal ones on the offensive side against the 1 defense. And a quick hit, it's complete. Jeremiah Hunter's brought down. Nice tackle in space made defensively.
And if you're watching, you're seeing now that the one significant change to the offense is the no huddle. And that's what Jake Spavital brings. There's a lot of communication, but it's through signals and it's through formation shifts.
The offensive line, which was a work in progress last year. The good sign, though, for the O-line is Ashton Stredick, the carry, gets a couple. But Cal has the highest percentage of returning snaps among offensive linemen in the Pac-12.
Yeah, and I believe it starts with Driscoll up front. 777 snaps a year ago. He played 2 different positions. He started the season at right guard, and for the rest of the season, he was the center.
Here's a 3rd and short for the offense. And just getting going, these are the #1 offenses against the #1 defense in this competition period. Sam Jackson, the 5th. And he gives it to Ashton Stredick, straight ahead, breaks a tackle, and he's tripped up. It'll be a 1st and goal as Noel Williams, the transfer from UNLV, on the tackle. But a nice run by Stredick to get the 1st down.
It really is. I mean, I don't think we're going to see much or any of Jaden Ott. So Stredick and the rest of the backs, we're going to see 3 other backs outside of Ott. And that is going to be Ashton Stredick, who you've seen, Andy Alfieri, and Aiden Lee. They're going to get a bulk of the carries today.
And the top 3 running backs, as Shane alluded to, Jaden Ott, along with Byron Cardwell, the transfer from Oregon, and then Justin Williams-Thomas, who transferred in from Tennessee. And both Cardwell and Williams-Thomas are banged up, haven't done really anything in the spring. And Jaden Ott just came back, was nursing a minor injury as Sam Jackson keeps trying to get to the edge, and he's in for the touchdown. Sam Jackson runs it around the right side and finds the new gold end zone at Memorial Stadium.
I just had to hold my hands back from clapping because as a Cal fan, a Cal alum, this is the type of drive that we wanted to see from the offense, not necessarily from the defensive side of the ball, but we have to stay positive. The speed to bend the edge, get around the corner, and you know, no mistake about it, the defense on Cal, they have speed on that side as well. But Sam Jackson, typically when he's on the field, he's the fastest player.
He has a different level speed.
He's got a different gear, yeah.
So the touchdown from the #1 offense as Sam Jackson engineers a score. And coming up next, we'll have the #2 offense, which will be led by Fernando Mendoza, the Miami native who redshirted last year.
You know, Justin Wilcox is really, really high on Fernando Mendoza and his development, and he's had a great spring. We were talking with Justin Wilcox earlier this week. He has said Fernando Mendoza will be a quarterback here. He will play here at Cal at some point.
And how much can he push Sam Jackson? Again, you mentioned the differences in their style of play, Shane.
Yeah.
And Jake Spavital knows that, as he was talking with us the other day. He calls a different game when it's Jackson or Mendoza at quarterback.
Well, that's what I love about Jake Spavital and coordinators that are able to adjust their scheme to fit the personnel on the field. It sounds simple, but it's not really something that is carried on through multiple offenses and defense across the country. But Jake Spavital is able to curate a specific type of offense for the personnel that he has.
So here is Fernando Mendoza, big quarterback at 6'5", 220. Andy Alfieri is the running back and the #2 offense. And immediately knifing through, and a nice stop defensively and blasting through from the defensive side. And the tackle for loss from Sam Ross, a redshirt freshman from Orinda.
This is where they really need to get better on the defensive side is up front and creating pressure into the backfield. There, he wasn't even blocked, was able to shed the tackle and get through to make the tackle.
2nd down and 12, and a penalty marker is down. And the quick hit on the slant out to the 30, the catch made by Kendon Robinson Jr.
Let's see what the flag is. I believe it's on the defensive side.
So Michael Mothershed, longtime Pac-12 referee down there working with our crew. A lot of these officials are not regular Pac-12 guys, but trying to work their way in, work at the high school, junior college, smaller college level.
Yeah, officials need reps too.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's got to use the spring to get some reps in and get better, and that was offsides on the defense, I do believe.
And the crowd mic needs some reps too, because again, it's a spring for them as well.
Absolutely. Oh, they're walking the ball back. Nope. Okay, here we go. Yep, there we go. Now we got it right. See, there we go. We need the reps. We need the reps. One thing you're going to see different about the offense with Fernando Mendoza is quick passes. We don't want Jake Spavital doesn't want his offensive line to have to sit there and block 5-step drops all game. So they're going to get the ball out quick. It's a way to combat the defensive line, slow down the pass rush, and get those guys on the defensive side tired.
Second down after the penalty for Fernando Mendoza. Another low snap, and Andy Alfieri a big hole. And Alfieri runs for a first down. And Alfieri, who is only playing running back because of the lack of depth, and so he's getting some snaps at running back. He's really a tight end.
Yeah, he's a tight end, but he's wearing a great number, though.
I knew you'd like that number. Off the tip, Kendon Robinson Jr. the catch for a first down out near midfield.
Well, I can't. This might be one of the first times I've seen a ball tipped at the 5 yards from the line of scrimmage and caught 15 yards down the field. Great concentration by Robinson Jr.
Yeah, I knew you'd have affinity for the guy wearing number 34. Play action for Mendoza over the middle. Nice catch again, Robinson. He's had a good spring, and he looks great today.
He really does, and we were watching practice yesterday, and he had a catch very similar to that. He was coming from the opposite side, but great hand-eye coordination, be able to hold that in over the defender.
The well-traveled Robinson, who's from Alameda, went to City College of San Francisco, also spent time in Northern Iowa at the football championship subdivision level, as that's incomplete from Mendoza. But there's going to be some opportunities. Look, the ones are pretty much set at receiver between Jeremiah Hunter, Maven Anderson, Monroe Young. Brian Hightower transferred in from Illinois. Mason Starling was battling an injury, but there's going to be opportunities for guys to make plays and try to move up the depth chart and get some playing time in the fall.
Well, you're going to need them, because there's one thing that's guaranteed about this game of football is that you're going to get injured at some point. You never know when it's going to happen or what position group, which season is going to have the most injuries, but you want to be able to have some depth. The best teams in the conference, the best teams in the country have depth.
Short pickup to Chris Rogers, a walk-on receiver from just through the tunnel in Lafayette. And it's third down as the offense in the red zone here. So the number one offense was able to maneuver down the field and get a touchdown. The twos are trying to do the same here. Third down for Fernando Mendoza. Escapes the pocket. Curly Thomas the pressure, and that'll go as a sack. Again, we're not hitting the quarterbacks, but Curly Thomas, the redshirt freshman from Keller, Texas, with the pressure. And here's not just Sam Jackson, but the list of guys Cal got out of the portal.
Noah Williams, they've been really, really high on the transfer to UNLV. Caleb Moore just came a couple of states over to the west from Colorado, and they're really big on Sergio Allen and Brian Hightower as well.
Field goal try. This will be a 35-yarder from the right hash mark for Michael Luckhurst, who was the kickoff specialist last year, will take over the kicking duties this year. And a strong leg, and Luckhurst nails it. So the number 2 offense is able to get a field goal against the number 2 defense. And we have the pleasure now, speaking of new coaches around Berkeley, we've talked about Jake Spavital, the new offensive coordinator, but there's a new men's basketball coach as well. The Mad Dog, Mark Madsen, takes over the Cal men's basketball program, and he joins us from the field. Mark, great to see you. And again, this blue and gold, it looks great on you, Mark. It really does.
Roxy, appreciate it, man. Great to be out here at the spring game and fun to watch the football.
Mark, my name is Shane Vereen, and you might not know me from Tom, but I was a lifelong and have been a lifelong Lakers fan. And I remember you, and I always used to say you averaged 10 hustles per minute. But I can't be happy enough just to welcome you to the Cal family. How's been the first couple days on campus?
Shane, it's been great. First of all, thank you for the welcome. It's always good to meet a fellow Lakers guy, and it's the first few days on campus have been incredible. We've dived in. We've had some really good workouts with a lot of the players that are already here at Cal, and then we've been active in the portal in terms of getting some commitments and continuing to speak with some great players to see if we can bring them here to Cal.
And also keeping that recruiting class, which is already in place before you came in. How critical is that, Mark, to the development of what you're trying to do?
It's a great recruiting class. We've been in touch with both players. Both players are really talented, and we're excited. You know, we're excited to kind of get this thing turned around. You know, obviously, last season winning 3 games, we have high goals for this coming season and high expectations, and excitement, energy, and work is what we're diving into right now.
Yeah, and just how are you going about that?
Yeah, I would say, Shane, a lot of different ways. I mean, number one, player development has always been a big part of what we've done as a staff. And so player development is a big part of it. Number two, adding some roster spots, adding some pieces there. Primarily from the transfer portal. You mentioned the incoming freshmen, so working in that way there. And then also being opportunistic. You know, sometimes somebody will pop late in the portal, and having the flexibility to be able to address opportunities as they come later.
We'll take a look at this throw. Good throw by Sam Jackson, but unable to hang on. Did not complete the process of the catch. Of course, that football terminology. Maven Anderson, a great effort, though. As Mark Madsen with us. And Mark, in your first few weeks working with the players, and I've seen video clips of you teaching them and going through stuff, what's it been like to work with these kids and getting to know what you have and you're taking over on this Cal roster?
Well, it's all about relationships. It's all about relationships, and so we've really gotten out onto the court, working with the players, getting to know them as people, you know, talking with them about their goals and aspirations as players, and really the human side of the team. Every team is made up of a great culture. And so we're really trying to come in and establish a culture of learning, a culture of teamwork, and a culture of togetherness. And so that's been the primary focus in terms of the workouts. You know, and then obviously we'll be getting out on the road for recruiting here shortly, but and hosting some official visits and things of that nature. But excitement is the main thing that I think we're all feeling.
Where's your energy level right now? Because everything you're dealing with, taking over this new job, you're getting settled in here at Cal. Of course, as most people know, your wife, Hannah, just gave birth to your 4th child. So mentally, where are you at right now?
Well, sometimes you got to take the, you know, you talk about the sugar boost. You know, sometimes, Rox, you take a sugar boost. You know, it gets to be 9 o'clock at night, and you got to make some calls to the portal, and you know, you have the sugar drink, you have the soda, and you keep rolling. You keep on rolling through.
Are you looking for a potential NIL deal right here?
always on the look, and we can pass those to our players, hopefully.
Mark, great to see you. Best of luck. It's just great to see you here out and the energy that you have surrounding yourself with the program. I can't wait to watch you guys get after it.
Roxy, appreciate it. Shane, appreciate it. Enjoy the game, guys. What a game out there.
Can I get a Go Bears, Mark?
Go Bears.
There you go.
There we go.
Mark Madsen, the new basketball coach for Cal, joining us as the #1 offense back out there on the field right now. Actually, this is the #2 is Fernando Mendoza at quarterback.
Yeah, the #1 offense stalled out, 3 and out. Good job by the defense, and a play downfield that broke up the pass from Maven Anderson.
Mendoza taking a deep shot just too far over the outstretched hands of Tron Grizel, the Park City, Utah native, which is Mark Madsen's old stomping ground. It's close by. He was at Utah Valley just down the road. But Grizel, a big receiver. And here we have a 3rd down at the 40. And so we went through the receivers, but the offensive line, that's going to be where I think the focus for a lot of people is going to be, Shane, because it was a tough area. Patchwork group last year. Now, a lot of those guys come back, and we're not going to see Matthew Cindric today. He is coming back for another year. He's been battling an injury. He's going to factor in somewhere, and just talking to the coaches, no name specifically, but it doesn't appear that they're done in terms of trying to bring in some talent, that there's a second window for the transfer portal, which actually opens today. And I would anticipate Justin Wilcox and his staff being aggressive, trying to maybe add another body or two.
Yeah, and why not? You're always, you know, with the new landscape of college football, with the NIL, with the portal, there's always ways to create and make your team better. So why not use it to your advantage? And if there's a couple players, look, Cal's not ever going to be the team that goes to the portal and overhauls and brings in 25 to 30 players, but they are going to go into the portal and find the specific players that fit their style of football, academically, and fit the university. And so they're definitely going to always try, you know, to make things better, and specifically on the offensive line, which is an area that was, you know, it was a struggle last year.
So Sam Jackson coming out of the portal. There's a field goal for Michael Luckhurst. More to come from Memorial Stadium, the Spring Football Showcase. Our first look at the Cal Bears for 2023. Maybe the Spring Football Showcase, but Oski's in mid-season form already. He's got to pace himself. We're only in the middle of April, Shane.
Yeah, but I think Oski just, you know, kind of like Mark Madsen was saying, just takes a little energy drink, a little sugar rush. Oski doesn't get tired.
So right now they're doing a special teams period. Our look at Michael Luckhurst and Lachlan Wilson, the new punter, by the way, the Aussie via Tulsa, transferred into Cal. But Luckhurst, who will be the kicker for Cal this year, has a cannon for a leg. And the sophomore from Santa Barbara with 17 touchbacks on 30 kickoffs a year ago. But his dad is in the Cal Athletics Hall of Fame as both a rugby and football standout here. In fact, Mick Luckhurst kicked 7 years for the Falcons in the NFL, and Michael takes over. And look, Dario Longetto, who made a long field goal in the big game last year, but there was some inconsistency with the kicking game. And you and I were talking to Justin Wilcox. It just seems he's a little more at ease with the kicking game heading into this year.
Well, he had a little bit of a smile on his face when we brought up Luckhurst, and I think that, like you said, the consistency is what coaches are looking for from their kicking game. Snap, hold, kick. And you know, if you've been watching Cal over the last 2 years, you kind of hold your breath every time they line up for a field goal. Typically it went well, but there were some times in big moments in big games where the mechanics of the whole operation just weren't really on par.
And Dario Longetto, who was the kicker last year, went in the portal, ended up at Arizona State. And I'm wondering, you know, because of the presence of Michael Luckhurst behind him, made that decision easier for him. That, look, there was going to be a battle for the kicking job, and Longetto decides to transfer to Arizona State, and now Michael Luckhurst has the job, and he is somebody that I know Cal's really confident in, considering the legacy, and they saw glimpses of it last year. There were times that he was threatening Longetto, but Longetto did make some quality kicks last year at times, and that's what kept him in that position. But a change at kicker is now we look at the offense going back to work on the plus side of the field, and this is a unique competition section that they're going to go with. Monroe Young, the catch, stepping out of the flat. They're going to work their way down the field a bunch of 4th and 1s.
Yeah, so the way they're going to do it is the offense there's going to be 5 4th and 1 plays from the 41, from the 31, from the 21, from the 11, and eventually from the 1 yard line. And the way it is if the offense converts, they stay on the field. So they just converted, so now they're on the 31 yard line. They convert this, they'll go to the 21. If the defense gets a stop at any point during these 5 4th and 1 tries, the defense wins.
So the offense needs to go 5 for 5, or if they score and they bust a 4th and 1, then that score counts. Ashton Stredick will take the handoff, hit behind the line, he's wrapped up. David Reese off the edge, the first man there. He's the transfer from Florida, along with Sergio Allen, and those two guys will factor in for the Cal defense at linebacker this year.
Yeah, they've been really, really impressed with David Reese, and he's been a great addition to edge pressure for this defense, and just this is what they need. This is what they brought David Reese in here for, was to make plays like that on 4th and 1 and to disrupt offenses in the backfield.
And they will have depth at that outside backer, the edge rushing position, as Reese is going to factor in Miles Jernigan, who really had a strong season last year, and the coaches were ecstatic about his progression a year ago. Xavier Carlton battling a little bit of a toe injury. He'll be fine come fall camp. Yeah. But he's taking it slow and precautionary. He's not going to play today. He really had a strong year, battled an injury last year, came up huge in the big game last year when Cal came back in the 4th quarter with that huge 4th quarter to beat Stanford. But there's a lot of depth if they can keep it healthy, whether it's on the linebacker position, whether it's up front. There is a lot of talent defensively.
No, there is. One of the best things about it is the way that they coach their talent and the way that they use the specific skills of these players to put them in the best position to be successful.
Here's the 4th and 1 opportunity now for the twos, and forward progress gets the 40, and it is a first down as Fernando Mendoza handing off to Andy Alfieri.
That's a big boy. We were down on the field yesterday for practice, and I was able to go over and meet all the running backs, and he looks like a tight end. I'm amazed at how well he moves his feet and moves his hips at the running back position. And he's been running with the twos this entire game so far.
So Alfieri again is a tight end, 6'3", 245, and the Toby Gerhart type. I know people are a little hesitant to make the Stanford comparison, but Alfieri's older brother, Joey, did play for the Cardinals.
Okay, I see. I had no idea. Look, learning something every day. But that's a big body, and I've played defense not since high school, but I know I didn't want to tackle anybody that was 6'3", 200 plus.
6'3", 245 at running back. And I remember Bill Musgrave, the former offensive coordinator at Cal. We asked him about Alfieri. What does he really do for the offense? He goes, he does all the odd jobs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Not afraid to throw his body around, make the block. He's got to make a catch as he runs for a first down.
3 for 3. You know, there's pride in a running back that when it's 4th and 1, why are we throwing the ball? If it's 4th and 1, hand me the ball, give me the rock, and create just a little space, just a little crevice, and let me go ahead and pick up this first down for the team.
Now from the 11, they've converted 3. Now to try to convert their 4th and 1 in a row. As the motion man is Jack Entries, a tight end. Another carry, and Alfieri, a steady diet for the defense, and the big physical bruiser will make it a 4th and goal rather from the 1.
I love it, but this is what we're talking about defensively, the depth of Cal. The twos, especially in the interior of the defensive line, this is where you're seeing not a significant drop-off, but a slight drop-off from the ones. And that's what me and you were talking about, Roxy, as far as building depth on the defensive line, keeping them healthy, because you have the best availability you can be. The best ability is availability.
And the depth on the defensive line. As into the end zone, a touchdown. It was the Andy Alfieri, Joey, the older brother. Andy Alfieri drive. He finds the end zone with the 4th and goal conversion. And here's one more look at Alfieri. And you know what? The way he's running the football, Shane, he's supposed to go back to tight end.
I don't know. If he wants to go back to tight end, he probably should have been stopped on one of those. But, you know, when you go 5 for 5, you hand you the ball 5 times in a competitive drill like this, in full go, full speed, you're really gaining trust from your coaching staff and teammates.
So we're going to talk to Jake Spavital coming up, Cal's returning offensive coordinator, as he was here back in the mid part of the last decade under Sonny Dykes, and coming back to Cal when Cal decided to make a change at the offensive coordinator. And the familiarity with Berkeley certainly is a key factor for Jake Spavital coming back. And the ability to have total control of the offense. Justin Wilcox is letting Jake Spavital have free reign, and here's what he did the last time he was here.
Yeah, and granted, this was under a different head coach in Sonny Dykes, and completely different team. So I asked Coach Spavital, what did you learn from 2016 as a coach, from 2016 until now? And one thing he learned is every QB is different. Every QB and every player, for that matter, has a specific set of skills that they're very talented with. And so he needs to adapt what he does as a coach, how he calls plays, how he schemes up offenses and defenses to fit the personnel that he has. And to me, that tells me a lot about who he is as a coach and as a person.
So more 4th and 1 competitions here. The #1 offense and the #1 defense back out on the field, and from the +41 for Sam Jackson, the 5th, and the #1 offense for California. Sliding over in motion, JT Byrne, the tight end, who transferred from Oregon State. As this is Ashton Stredick, who picks his way for a first down. In a lot of ways, we mentioned JT Byrne. It was almost like a trade, tight end for tight end. When you look at Byrne transfers, the Carmel native comes down to Cal. And then Jermaine Terry, been playing at Cal, the tight end goes to Oregon State.
You know, this is going to be so interesting the next few years, and maybe forever in college football with the transfer portal, guys flipping and flopping. It's interesting how many players will stay within the conference. I think that's just, to me, I don't know. It's extra motivation, I guess, when you face your former team.
And Jackson Sermon transferred down from Washington, and he's at Cal now for his second year, taking advantage of that COVID year. That'll be a sack coming off the edge. Matthew Littlejohn, the JC transfer, who the coaches are really high on. He's had a great spring in that nickelback position. And that'll be a sack off the edge for Matthew Littlejohn.
Yeah, they really like Littlejohn. He was the one that broke up the play down the field to Maven Anderson, showing speed, and on that time he was unblocked. Got to account for the nickel if you're the offensive line and Jackson as the quarterback.
But you look around and some guys transferring within the conference. Byron Cardwell was at Oregon, coming down to Cal. Cal ventures out of the conference to go grab some other guys. But you have some of these recruiting stories along the way to keep those relationships up, Shane, because you never know how things are going to pan out.
Yeah, and not only that, I mean, the whole reason Jaden Ott came here a year ago was because, you know, Jaden Ott was committed to, I think, 2 other schools before he eventually chose Cal. But he had such a great relationship with Coach Wilcox and the rest of the staff here at Cal, and they treat him so well. So, you know, just like you said, those relationships, you know, you really gotta, you can't burn any bridges, I guess I should say.
Because you never know what's going to happen. And speaking of returns, this was the Cal offense. Davis Webb at quarterback, who transferred into play for Jake Spavital. And here is some of the offense that Jake was the offensive coordinator his first time around.
Yeah, Davis Webb. Actually, Davis Webb spent a year with me with the New York Giants. And one thing we'll go ahead and talk to Coach.
As Jake Spavital joining us, we were showing some of your highlights, your first go-around at Cal. What do you remember most, Jake, about your first go-around as a Cal coach?
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting transition because, you know, I took the job and we lost Jared Goff and a lot of, like, really NFL prospects, and had the ability to get Davis Webb, and really didn't get him till the summertime. So I spent, like, spring ball like I'm doing now, just trying to figure everyone out, and truly just fell in love with that team, you know, with Chad Hansen, California Muhammad, and like even just with Patrick McCarry and really just kind of like everybody in that whole place with like Davis Webb and everybody. It was just so fun to be a part of, and we would spin it all around the field. We'd hand it off. They played with tempo. They believed in each other. They liked each other, and I just really enjoyed watching them have a lot of success on the field.
I know myself and the rest of the Cal faithful were really impressed with that first drive by the Ones. What can you tell us about that drive?
It was good. You know, they went out there and made some plays. You know, Coach Sermon's a very aggressive defensive coordinator. That first play, Jeremiah Hunter makes a really good catch, and I think Sam's kind of feeling it. I think that whole drive came down to Sam's scramble on that third down, which you're starting to see how dynamic of a player he is. And then he ends up pulling that one on the goal line to show his speed to the edge. So, you know, we got to get the run game going a little bit more today, and just kind of mess around with some different protections and everything of that nature. But you know, Shane, if you want to come out and have a couple reps, man, come on, man.
Well, I remember Marshawn took part in the spring game a few years ago. Shane and I were talking about that. I don't know if Shane wants to strap the pads on again.
My hamstrings aren't set up for high speed.
Come on, man. Yeah. I know you got it right now. You got 1 yard in you on that 4th and 1 right there.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. I can get you a yard now. I can get you a yard.
Yeah, Roxy, you can stay up in the press box, right?
You know me well enough. This is the place I belong. When you took over this job, you were in need of a quarterback. Jack Plummer enters the portal, decides to transfer to Louisville. When you were recruiting Sam Jackson, what were you looking for, Jake, in a quarterback here for you at Cal?
Yeah, it's such a unique time right now. It's all about the best available, you know, and Sam was, you know, he came in late. You know, we were going through a lot of different quarterbacks, a lot of different official visits, and fortunate with him playing in the national championship game, like everybody kind of filled up, which gave me an opportunity to come in and get Sam. But, you know, the transfer portal opened up today. You know, you already see 200 and some odd kids already in the portal today. So it's just the nature of recruiting right now, and was fortunate to come in late on Sam, and very happy that he's here.
You know, everybody's going to be very excited for the start of football season, but from today up until the start of fall camp, what's going to be on your table of things to accomplish and for the rest of the team?
Yeah, we got to get recruiting. Right now the recruiting cycle is open, so we're going to be on the road Monday. We got to go fill the void with some of these guys. We're going to bring in probably another 5 to 7 scholarship guys on offense, so I got to get that done. But we got to keep just developing continuity, have an understanding of the game, and we're going to meet a lot. We're going to do a lot of routes on air, a lot of just continuity building and understanding of the offense, and you just never really take a day off. You just got to keep increasing and getting better on a daily basis.
Jake, last thing for you is you're completely overhauling the offense, going with a completely different scheme. How have you seen the guys understand what you want to do and embrace your style of offense?
Yeah, they're starting to understand the tempo was hard to get acclimated to, and they're sitting there playing now of understanding how tempo can be a benefit for you. And we can call the same play over and over and over again, and you can throw it all over the field in different looks and different concepts and hand it off and QB run game, all in just doing one play and being efficient in what you do. And it's been fun watching them buy into it. It's been unique for me because they haven't been really a tempo offense or a spread offense, so we don't have very many receivers, but we've got a lot of tight ends available. So it's been good for me to increase my game and my knowledge of the game, to utilize these tight ends more and move them all over the field and still play at a high tempo. So it's been fun overall.
Jake, thanks for the time. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it, guys.
Jake Spavital returning to Cal. As you see, he was the Golden Bears offensive coordinator in 2016. Head coach at Texas State the last 4 years. He moved on from Cal to go to West Virginia. So a lot of big programs that he's been a part of, and it's such a luxury to have a head start understanding Berkeley and coming back to Cal for Jake Spavital.
Yeah, as special of a place this is, if it's your first time here, it takes some acclimating to get used to the landscape and to what the players have to go through with academics and just the time that you have. And since he's been here before, it made his transfer, it made his move with the family now. Now he's got 2 kids, made it a little bit easier.
And we transition from Jake Spavital to a former Cal great who had a long, distinguished career in the NFL. A few stops for Lorenzo Alexander was integral in helping make Cal football relevant. When Jeff Tedford came in, it was a staple of the Cal defense, and Lorenzo Alexander still looks like he could play. You want to play anymore, Lorenzo?
No, that's what I'm going for. If anybody tells me you look like you can still play that, I've done my job.
Well, I'm happy to hear that. I got to play against Lorenzo when I was with the Patriots and he was with the Bills. And it's nice to see you in street clothes and not a helmet.
Yeah, for sure. I can say the same for you, man. You was a headache as well, man. But I appreciate you, Shane, for saying that.
Lorenzo, what was it like trying to chase down Shane Vereen?
I mean, I loved it. I love competing, especially the Patriots, man. It was a love-hate relationship when you think about the Patriots-Bills, but it's always good competing against the Cal Bear alum, which we didn't get a lot of credit for how many NFL guys that we had in the league, especially during that era when you talk about, 02 to 2010, man. We had like 40 or so guys all in the league at the same time.
Yeah, how's it feel to be back on campus in the environment of football? Just tell me your thoughts.
Man, it's been great. While we played, it was hard to get out to these things because normally we starting up OTAs. So now that I'm done, to be able to come out with my sons, I got my uncle up in the stands who actually coached me in high school, and being from this community, it's really special. I see a ton of guys walking around I got a chance to play with. There's a couple of guys I hadn't seen in over 20 years, just reconnecting with them, seeing their sons that are in high school, getting ready to go to college. That's probably the best part, right? And when you out of the locker room, that's what you miss, the relationships, the camaraderie. And now to see people like as fathers is like a really special moment.
Alumni function last night for the Cal football alumni last night here at Memorial Stadium. We're showing Lorenzo some pictures of it. And you mentioned 20 years ago in relationships. Take me back to when you were one of the upperclassmen here at Cal, and a young Justin Wilcox is on Jeff Tedford's staff. What do you remember about it, that young linebackers coach?
Well, I know he's good at his job, man. Our linebackers were probably the heart and soul of our football team back then, and so he did a hell of a job coaching them, getting them ready for games, making sure that we had the calls right. And so it was somebody that I respected. He was younger then, so he really related well with us and did just a really good job. And I think he's learned a lot along this way, and obviously as he's matured, is now as a heck of a head coach and is going to get this team where it needs to be.
Take us back to when you made that decision to stay home. You're a local kid.
Yep.
And at the time you were coming out of high school, it wasn't like this was a program that was in national prominence.
Yeah.
It was, it had some lean years, but you made the decision to come to Cal. What was part of that decision process for you to stay home?
Well, there's a couple of things. First of all, there was a lot of great talent that was here. You know, I was 1-10 my freshman year, and that same year when Teffrey came in, we were 7-8 and went, or 7-8, 8-6, and should have went to a bowl game. And so it was, the talent was there. For me personally, I would say it had to come down to being an academic school, and then obviously getting a chance to play on Saturdays early in my career, and having the two of my worlds kind of come together, right? Being the top public university in the country, and also being able to play high-end Pac-10 football, which it was back then, not to date myself, were very attractive to me as a young student athlete.
Well, it certainly was the foundation for what was a great run at Cal football. You were a significant part of it, Lorenzo. We appreciate your time.
Yeah,
Thanks
always.
for stopping by.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
Lorenzo Alexander, who was great here at Cal and had a long NFL career.
Legend.
More to come as the Cal football spring showcase rolls on. Spring football showcase, their first look at the 2023 Cal Bears football team with Shane Vereen and our Pac-12 network crew. Roxy Bernstein with you from Memorial Stadium on a beautiful Saturday afternoon here in mid-April. Is a nice pass by Fernando Mendoza. Completes it to Jeffrey Johnson, a sophomore tight end from Manhattan Beach. But you and I were talking about the defense, Shane, and the key for this team, and look, as good as the linebackers are, is a look at that bullet from Mendoza. But the key is going to be the defensive front.
Yeah.
And even though there was talent on the back end last year, they really thin on the defensive line because of injuries. And some young players got some significant experience last year.
Yeah.
But keep in mind, there's some key guys coming back, including Brett Johnson. We haven't seen. It'll be 2 years between games for Brett Johnson when he comes back.
Yeah, and he is a massive talent. I met him last year ahead of the big game, and I was just impressed with the size of him and the ability, the size that you see in person versus what you see on the field. Somebody that big shouldn't be able to move the way that he does. But the reason why this defensive line is a point of emphasis is third down for this defense for Cal was not top tier a season ago. They need to get off the field on third downs. The back end, the DBs, in large part did their jobs, but when it comes to third down and getting on the field, you have to get pressure on the quarterback. One way to help out a good secondary is to get hands in the quarterback's face, to make the quarterback feel uncomfortable. Use rush lanes, make the quarterback move off the spot. That's going to help the back end, specifically on third downs, and that's the production that they really need to see as there's a touchdown to the left corner of the end zone. That's the production that they need to see from their defensive line.
Tron Grizel, the touchdown catch from Fernando Mendoza, and there we're seeing some of the talent from Mendoza on display, and he fits it into a tight window along the sideline.
Yeah, I love it. Just a nice little fade route to the outside. You know, Jake Spavital said there's so many routes in these concepts that he has given in this offense where if a receiver thinks that they can get on top of their cornerback, then they put their hand up and they keep going, and it's up to the quarterback to reach them downfield. And I love that about an offense. You hate, I mean, when I was a running back with the Patriots, all our routes were options in a sense of versus this coverage, we do this. Versus that coverage, we might break inside. But it gave us an opportunity to always be open. It gave us an opportunity to always get the ball. And there's signs of that I've seen already in this offense.
There is Fernando Mendoza, the redshirt freshman from Miami, who just threw that touchdown. And just to complete our thoughts about the defensive line, which is going to be factors for that defense, guys like Ricky Correa, Nate Burrell, who had a strong freshman year last year. Cal just needs him to get a little bigger and stronger, but they feel that he can have a big season. A nice adjusting catch by Jeremiah Hunter to keep his feet in bounds inside the 15, twisting with the football. But Ethan Saunders, who came on last year, Stanley Saole McKenzie coming back after taking a year off for personal reasons. But then there's three also players that are out because of injuries right now that will factor in, not just Brett Johnson, but Derek Wilkins and Akili Calhoun, a couple of sophomores that Cal's really excited about.
Yeah, absolutely. And that speaks more to the depth conversation that we were having. If you're able to go too deep on a defensive line, you're able to create pressure for 4 quarters. If you're only 1 deep on the defensive line, eventually, your starters are going to get tired. Eventually, the pressure in the pocket isn't going to feel as pressurized, if you will, for the opposing quarterback. So if you're able to continue to create pressure and to continue to create one-on-one matchups and win those one-on-one matchups up front, the rest of the defense, the rest of the team is going to be in position to win ball games.
And there's potential to maybe go 3 deep. When you look at, for example, a guy like Curly Thomas, who redshirted last year. We haven't seen much of Uremia, the Kiwi, who's originally from New Zealand and went to high school in Southern California. But if they keep those guys healthy, it's a nice job by Sam Ross. Second time we've said his name today, wrapping up and making the tackle there. But there's potential here for Cal to really have some strong depth on the defensive side.
Yeah, you just want to be disruptive. We're talking to Coach Sermon a couple of days ago, and he wants his defensive line to be disruptive. And they want to bring in players from the portal or from recruiting that can disrupt an offense from the backfield. When they're one-on-one matchups, there's not just one-on-one matchups for receivers and DBs. There's one-on-one matchups up front, and those you have to win those matchups. It's just as important as winning your matchup if you're a DB or a receiver.
Looking downfield over the head of Jeremiah Hunter from Sam Jackson. As we saw Sam Ross limping off the field a little bit right there for Cal. But to create some depth, and Jake Spavital told us about, look, the second round of the transfer portal window is open.
Yeah.
He was talking about the offense. I have to think defensively there's going to be some interest in the portal, maybe to grab, let's say, another DB, potentially another defensive lineman. And Cal's not going to just sit idly by. They're going to be looking to improve this football team any way they can.
Yeah, with the portal, I think it's made college football very similar to what you're looking at in the professional landscape, where in the pros, they're always looking to free agents. They're always looking for trades, ways to add pieces to make their team better, not just for the future, but for this year as well.
4th down stop, Nate Ruccina on the tackle of Ashton Stredick, the speedster. As Ruccina, local kid from Monte Vista High School over in Danville, as spot the ball now inside the 25-yard line. Again, this is not a spring game where they're keeping score, but it's all about competition today.
Yeah.
And they're trying to create the best competition possible. And basically, let's just go play football.
Yeah. And that's how they scripted, well, not scripted. That's how they went about a lot of their practices this spring. Was 11 on 11. No scripts. Typically, the offense and the defense, the coaches work together to script specific plays and specific periods to get the most out of the period. But for this spring, they went away with the scripts. The coaches were on the sideline for a lot of it, and there was a lot of 11 on 11. And I think that's great. I mean, you can do your individual drills and get specific things of your game kind of tightened up, but when it comes to football, the best way to get better at football is 11 on 11, full competition, and they did a lot of that this spring.
So there is Peter Sermon. Again, Jackson Sermon, his son, transferred in last year, and I think Jackson Sermon may have caught some people off guard because the NFL people feel, Shane, that Jackson Sermon's got a chance to play on Sundays.
Yeah.
And for him to come back for one more year, I think a lot of it, Shane, had to do with the relationship. To have another season, and this will be the last year they can do it in terms of father and son, unless Peter decides to coach in the NFL.
Right.
But it has to be a special time that the Sermon family can come together in one place to see father and son, because I know it was hard in the family when Jackson was playing up in Seattle.
Yeah.
And Peter was here coaching at Cal.
Yeah, I can imagine. I played against my brother a couple of times. Well, actually just once in the NFL, and my mom and dad were split. They didn't know who to root for. All they wanted was for both of us to walk off the field healthy. But look, football isn't forever. And if you're able to have another moment like this, a special moment with your dad as your coach, I mean, I think I can only imagine, how down the road, how special this moment and these 2 years are going to be for them.
And Peter Sermon will join us shortly, Cal's defensive coordinator. And we'll get his thoughts on the spring. And here's one look at the impact that Jackson Sermon had, and Shane helping keep that axe in Berkeley. Johnny on the spot as Jeremiah Irby picked it up, had it knocked away, and there was Jackson Sermon to scoop and score. And that gave Cal the lead for good in the big game.
And look, if you want to be remembered at Cal, if you want to be ingratiated into the Cal family, make a big play against Stanford.
Well, you carried the ball like 97 times in the big game and ran for like 300. Well, almost what? You had 190.
It was 193.
Okay.
I carried about 42
Three
times.
touchdowns?
3 touchdowns. Yeah.
Well, Shane Vereena's a big game here as welcoming Peter Sermon, Cal's defensive coordinator, where Jackson Sermon, Peter, became a big game hero last year. What were the emotions like for you watching your son pick up that fumble, race it in for a touchdown in the big game?
Well, obviously that was a huge moment in the game, just really the complexion of the game. Anytime we score on defense, it's amazing, and then see 8 run it in, I was proud and happy for him.
What can you say? There's a lot of new transfers, a lot of new faces on the defensive side of the ball. How has that evaluation process going, and how have they been ingratiated into the defense?
They've been, the other guys on defense have been very accepting. It's, the transfer portal is obviously new for everybody, but it's also new for the guys that are on the current team and how those new guys are accepted. The 5 new guys that have joined us, they have worked their tail off. They've been quiet in terms of being accepted, and they've done a really nice job of working in terms of just their work ethic. And then, they're going to help us, on the field with talent, and we just got to keep getting them prepared for the fall.
Speaking of guys coming out of the portal, both you and Justin Wilcox, Peter, were effusive on the praise for Noel Williams and what you've seen from him. What has excited you the most about bringing him into your defense?
The thing that's really stood out with Noel is how he's handling himself. The winter conditioning, he's handled himself well. He's been ultra competitive. There's zero management with him. He's essentially played in this defense. So if you guys remember a few years ago, Keith Hayward was with us. He ended up taking the job as the defensive coordinator at UNLV, and there were a lot of similarities in the style of defense we called, some of the terminology. So I feel as if Noel played in this style of defense with the terminology when he was at UNLV. So it's been very, very seamless on his transition.
Me and Roxy have been talking in length about the defensive line for Cal, and I just want to know your assessment about it, and where do you feel like you guys can get better?
I like where we're at right now on the defensive line with the guys that are healthy. Our transfer portal is in the training room. We have a lot of guys that have been dinged up, that have been unavailable in the spring. Bringing David in, has been big for us, David Reese. And then we have to continue to establish and reestablish the line of scrimmage. And some areas I'd like to see us get better is how we affect the quarterback. Not necessarily sacks. Sacks are hard to come by. The quarterbacks get the ball out of the hands pretty quickly in the conference. And the style of play we're playing is the quarterback is very elusive. So he's not sitting in the pocket. They throw from all different spots in the field. But we have to continue to do a better job of affecting the quarterback, which is going to make our pass defense better.
Peter, last thing for you. You were able to recruit number 8 to come back for one more year. What were those conversations like? Pull back the curtain for those conversations you had with your son Jackson about one more season getting an opportunity to play with you.
Jack wants to continue to get better. Jack, had some opportunities, to consider. He wants to put himself and he wants to play himself into a very good all-star game so he can get a good evaluation. So Jack has a lot to prove. He had a good year last year. I thought he came in and transitioned well. Obviously, an all-conference performer, but.
This is a historic season coming up here at Memorial Stadium in Berkeley, the 100th anniversary of this gorgeous setting in this stadium that Cal will be celebrating this year, and the home opener will be September 9th, and a huge game as Cal will welcome Auburn out of the SEC to the West Coast to kick off the 100th season at Memorial Stadium in Berkeley. Of course, that is the most famous play in the history of college football. The play and the legendary Joe Starkey, and it'll be weird for a lot of people that this will be the first season in like almost 100 years that Joe Starkey will not be calling Cal football. The legendary broadcaster retiring after last year. Here's some of the big moments in the history of the stadium. John F. Kennedy speaking here. We transition to Javid Best going airborne. Look at that guy. That was your first game here, huh? On the field.
Yes, it was. First game and touchdown.
Tyler Frederickson had the game-winning field goal, the triple overtime win in '03 against USC. and the revamped Memorial Stadium after the redo of this legendary facility. Back, it's almost been 10 years. It's been over 10 years now, really, that we've been in the stadium.
If these
after that
walls
year in
could
San
talk.
Francisco, or 2 years at the home of the Giants.
If these walls could talk, so many big moments inside the stadium, so much talent, NFL players, great historic coaches, and it's the most beautiful setting in all of college football. I'm biased, but it's true.
In a red zone period now, as we're working on offense against defense that won, says Ashton Stredick getting into the end zone for the touchdown run. But you think about just the recent run of talent that's come through yourself. Keenan Allen right now, of course, Aaron Rodgers still going.
Yeah.
Jared Goff, who had a great year with the Lions last year. It was great to see. I was happy for Jared. What a fabulous season he had.
Mark Jones just got a new contract going back to Detroit. Alex Mack.
Mitchell Schwartz just retired after a tremendous career, a Super Bowl champion. Of course, the Hall of Famer, Tony Gonzalez. We could go on and on. You want to go back to Muncie, Joe Cat. I mean, it doesn't stop. Steve Bartkowski, Craig Morton.
Yeah.
But this group right now, and there's some excitement with what Justin Wilcox is putting together. Look, the last couple of years, and COVID really, not to make an excuse, but COVID really zapped the momentum from this program. And I don't know if there was a program in the country that had to deal with COVID more and some of the off-the-field issues that Cal had to deal with, as Fernando Mendoza with that bullet.
Tremendous back shoulder throw.
That goes to Chris Rogers for the touchdown. But it just seems now that there's a better flow and a better feel around this Cal football program right now.
Yeah, I mean, even though the last 2 seasons haven't gone the way that anybody really predicted that they would go in down seasons and not being able to reach a bowl game, there's no loss in faith. There's no loss in motivation. And I think that Justin Wilcox has just done a tremendous job bringing that enthusiasm back to the program.
The margin for error, as we know, especially at this level, Shane, is so razor thin. And unfortunately, you look at all the tight, close games that Cal has lost the last couple of years, and it's weighed on them. And you think about, for example, a couple of years ago, and they were so close to a bowl game, and you can pinpoint 1 or 2 plays along the way that could have changed the entire course of that season 2 years ago. And a lot of similar feelings coming out of last year.
Oh, there really was. I mean, over the last 2 years, they've lost 10 one-possession ball games. And granted, you know, the score is what the score is. But if you're able, in any of those games, you know, to make the play, you never really know when that one play is going to come as a player. You just want to be prepared and ready for the moment. And that takes coaching, and that's what they've been focusing on at length this spring.
Defense rallying to the ball to bring down Aiden Lee, getting the carry there. But the red zone scoring competition, all right, you want to go through how they're doing this part of it?
Yeah, so the red zone scoring, the offense, now we're seeing the twos, but the offense starts with the ball on 1st and goal from the 15-yard line. The offense has 4 plays. If the offense scores, 6 points for a touchdown and 3 points for a field goal. The defense scores 6 points if the offense does not score, and 4 points if the offense scores a field goal. The winner is whichever group reaches 18 points first. And right now, the offense is up 12-0 on the defense.
Chris Rogers with a catch inside the 5 before he's shoved out of bounds. The pass for Mendoza, as we've seen a steady diet of Jackson and Mendoza at quarterback. Noah Mitchum, who's the 3rd quarterback, or rather Tyler Jensen, the 3rd. It's like 3A and 3B between Jensen, who transferred from Louisville, the San Diego native, and the redshirt freshman Noah Mitchum from Granite Bay. And so those two have really been taking a back seat to the competition, letting Jackson and Mendoza familiarize themselves with this offense.
Yeah, it really has. I mean, and you need to do that when you're having an overhaul offense like Cal's doing with Jake Spavital. It's important for your top 2 guys, especially at the quarterback position, to gain comfortability through reps. And in order to get experience, in order to gain that comfortableness, you have to take those reps. And you know, the other guys are going to get their opportunities. Don't get me wrong, but it's important for the guys that you think are going to be leading this team in the fall to get the bulk of the reps.
You only get 15 practices for your spring, and Cal had it abbreviated in terms of, or at least interrupted by spring break. So started before, then resumed after spring break. So there's only so many reps to go around, and you want to get Jackson and Mendoza as comfortable as possible. And Cal's also been open in some of their discussions publicly about maybe wanting to grab another quarterback out of the portal to provide some more stability to that position.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a polarizing position. You know, you have the weight of the offense, but not just that. You have the weight of the team, of the university on your shoulders. And so you want to have a guy back there, regardless of who it is, a guy back there that's able to carry the load and lead your team to victory. And look, like I said earlier, injuries happen in the game of football, and you want to make sure that when injuries do happen to your starters, to your second string, that you have somebody else that you trust and know can get the job done.
Number one offense, number one defense, blitz off the edge of the draw. The handoff to Ashton Stredick, who's swallowed up and pushed back. That's technically a loss of about a half a yard. As David Reese, the transfer from Florida, was a three-time all-academic SEC selection. In fact, graduated last spring with his degree, or after the fall actually, in education sciences. Played in all 13 games for Florida last year, and coming west looking for an opportunity where he was in a position in Florida where they had a lot of depth at that position, and he wants the opportunity to be an every down guy. He was going to be more of a situational guy maybe at Florida and battling for playing time.
Keep the hanky in the pocket, but he got there a little early.
And Caleb Moore's got 20 career starts in Colorado. So an experienced guy that just will provide some more depth defensively to this Cal team. And you look at the safeties, for example, Raymond Woody, Craig Woodson, who both had really strong springs. The coaches are thrilled with their improvement. Then you look at the corner position in the nickel spot, where Lamajia Hearns, Jeremiah Irby, we talked about Noah Williams before, Isaiah Young, who made strides the last couple of years. You throw in the JC kid, Matthew Littlejohn. There's depth at that position too.
Yeah, and then on the back end, you have Craig Woodson, who they've been raving about, and he's played a lot of football here at Cal. Like I said in the open, his knee brace, he's been dealing with the injury the last couple of years. His knee brace is off, and along with that came a boatload of confidence, and he's really taken that step, not just in his personal growth, but now he has formed himself into a leader, one of the leaders on this team. And it was funny, I was talking to him, and he's not the type, he said, to be a leader. He never wants to, you know, impose his will on the rest of the team, but the coaches asked him to step up in that role, and he graciously agreed with that.
So Craig Woodson, honorable mention all Pac-12 last year, was fourth in this team in tackles, a couple of picks, including a 39-yard pick six in the opener against UC Davis last year. And after tearing his ACL in fall camp a couple of years ago, and you alluded to the knee brace is gone now, and what's so special for him is he and Miles Jernigan have been best friends for a long time, played high school ball together at South Grand Prairie in Grand Prairie, Texas. And they come to Cal together, and I remember talking to Craig about that pick six, and he felt that was his gift for all the hard work, Shane, and determination to battle through the times he didn't want to go through rehab, was frustrated with trying to come back. That was his reward, that pick six, and that signified to him everything's okay.
Yeah, you know, like I said, this game is full of injuries, and you know, it's a roller coaster ride. There's ebbs and flows. Being hurt and not being able to be on the field with your team is one of the toughest things, not just physically but mentally, for any player to go through. And so for him to stick to it, I looked at it as a reward as well. Great throw, catch.
Jordan King with the catch off the throw from Tyler Jensen, who is, again, the transfer from Louisville to walk-on, spent 2 years at Louisville. And now the third-string quarterback getting a chance after a nice throw.
Yeah, I love it. They've really been taking shots down the field, and that's exciting to see.
And speaking of quarterbacks, we're joined by Sam Jackson V, joining us, the transfer from TCU. And Sam, we had a chance to talk to you yesterday here. And your excitement now, getting to play inside the stadium with some fans and getting to put a bow on the spring. How much fun were you having out there today with your teammates?
We ran a lot of base things today. I had a lot of fun today with the guys, just to put together what we've been working on throughout the spring and stuff like that with the coaches, and even before with the coaches, I just got to talk to the guys and throw around with them just to get a feeling for who they are. So today was pretty fun for me, for sure.
Yeah, I know the install on the offense hasn't really been too heavy on you guys, and coach has really been allowing you to kind of let your hair down, not think and just play.
Right.
And it looked good on that first drive you guys had, marching down the field and scoring a touchdown. Hoping to see more of that this year.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Definitely. I mean, like I said, we've been running a lot of base things, just trying to downpack what these guys have been through, because last year they ran a completely different offense, so we're just trying to get a feel. Obviously, the spring is like pre-trials for us, just to see just evaluation for us. So.
Speaking of this offense, Sam, how much do you think that this offense really enhances your skill set?
I mean, if you go back and look at Spav's, who he's coached, you got Johnny Manziel, Kyler Murray, Geno Smith, Will Greer. I feel like all of us kind of play the same, and this offense is obviously like kind of the same, and it helps me because as a passer, I know that I'm elusive, so it's kind of my gift with that is kind of a blessing and a curse, because sometimes it's sometimes where I can stay in the pocket and make some throws and stuff like that. But when you have that kind of gift, it's just that instinct that you just get and go get a 5-yard gain rather than just take a risk. So.
A couple of times I saw you turn the corner on the defense and show the wheels. Did you run track?
I did not run track. I ran track.
That's a fail by your high school track coach there, Sam.
I ran track my 8th grade year, but that was it.
Okay, yeah, you're not supposed to be turning the feet over that fast if you never ran track before.
Yeah. Hey, when you're getting to work with these receivers, and there's some talent out there, what's caught your eye about this group of receivers you get to work with?
They're very coachable. I mean, I played receiver my sophomore year of high school, so I kind of know what these guys are seeing out there. Going up against the defense, we're getting different looks every day, and there's so much freedom in the offense. So these guys are just trying to read the leverage rather than the coverage because of the different looks. So the leverage, I get to talk to these guys about what I seen when I was out there and what they see right now. So it's pretty fun for me and the guys. I mean, we're learning. I'm pretty sure we're going to come together with it all in the fall for sure.
Thanks for your time, Sam. Appreciate it. Can't wait to watch you in the blue and gold in the fall.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you. Go Bears.
Sam Jackson, the 5th, the quarterback for Cal. And the Bears nabbed out of the transfer portal from TCU. And we saw some of his talent on display, Shane, and you mentioned the elusiveness and the speed, that he's got another gear that people just don't have.
Yeah, and you know, you can't coach it. You can't coach speed. That's the one thing that's you know, that you can't. You either have it or you don't. And luckily for Cal, they have it on their offensive side of the ball in Sam Jackson.
Let's jump back to the defensive side. We were just glowing about Craig Woodson and the spring that he's had. Peter Sermon was talking about the great improvement Craig has made here as we welcome in number 2 from the defensive side. Craig, appreciate the time. All right, we were talking to Peter Sermon about your improvement, what he's seen from you. Where do you think you've made your biggest improvement this spring?
Honestly, just playing in post safety, and then also just trying to play man coverage. That was one of the things that I wanted to improve on from last season. So, you know, just playing the post, being able to fly, you know, each side on the sideline and then make plays on the ball, that's what I'm trying to do. So, I mean, that's honestly going to help the team when it comes to the defense in the fall.
You guys get to put the unis back on, strap it up, and go live. How did it feel to get out here with your boys after a long, hard spring?
Yeah, man, it feels good just to be out here to showcase our talents and what we got as a team, honestly. You know, we had a long spring ball, everybody getting better, players just improving, and just be out here, be on the showcase right now. It feels good. Just have the fans out here as well, just, you know, have the energy.
Craig, Shane was talking before about you getting able to take the knee brace off. Now, here you are, year and a half, you'll be 2 years removed from your knee injury come the fall. Is it more mental or physical for you right now not having that brace on anymore?
I mean, honestly, it's kind of both. So mentally, just knowing that, you know, I'm actually free from just having that restriction, and then also just other players on the field. You know, when a DB has a knee brace on, everybody, oh yeah, let's go at him, whatever. But you know what I'm saying? So I know mentally, I'm just like, yeah, I'm free, like I'm ready, I'm here, and also just physically being able to actually just run full speed, being able to cut, you know, efficiently without having that brace to restrict you a little bit. I think that's just awesome.
You're now one of the older guys on the team, a leader on this team. What's special about this team this year going into the season?
Honestly, just the versatility and something new that we haven't had here in the past few years, especially when it comes to the offensive side of the ball. we're going to be able to do a lot of things, have a high-paced offense, as well as just, make plays, score. A lot of scoring is going to be coming this year. And then also on the defense, just that mentality, just coming back to, being dominant. Last year, we wasn't as good when it comes to just dominating, just imposing our will on our opponents. So I think that just this year, just being dominant, that's what is coming.
Craig, thanks so much for the time. Can't wait to watch you this fall.
Thank you.
Craig Woodson, Cal safety, last year was honorable mention all Pac-12, and a couple of interceptions last year will anchor the defense. The experience that Cal will have at safety with him, and then Raymond Woody, the Florida State transfer on the other side. It is a deep group back there, and now Craig Woodson, with Daniel Scott moving on to the NFL.
Yep.
Craig Woodson now, his role not only changes in the impact he has to have as a player, but also, Shane, in the locker room and in the meeting room, because in a lot of ways, that's his group now.
Yeah, it is his group. There's no doubt about it. When I was speaking to him, he talked a lot about Daniel Scott and how close him and Daniel Scott were, and how last year he took the time to learn from Daniel Scott and to watch the way that he led, and watch the way that he performed, watch the way that he attacked practice each and every day. And I think that's the best sign of a leader, is somebody that learns to follow. Yeah, Patrick Laird lent all the help that he needed.
Go Bears, go Reed!
There he goes. There's the big fella. I think it's so great. Anything that you can do to help the youth, because whether you know it or not, as players, even in college, they're looking up to you. And it's interesting. I know when I was a kid, if a player told me to read and if my mom told me to read, that's two different conversations. My mom tells me to read, we're going to have a conversation about why I'm not going to read. If a Cal player tells me I should be reading these books and I can get tickets, I'm going to read that book in 2 days. Touchdown, Bears.
Nice pass going to Chris Rogers for the score. Wait, Rogers found the end zone at Memorial Stadium?
I love it. Another deep pass. Good release off the line. Is able to get not just behind the corner, but the safety as well. Touchdown Bears. Nice pass. We've seen some great deep balls throughout the day today, over and over, trying to stretch the field and get the ball down.
And that's one of the things we're going to see in this offense, is the ability to stretch the field and go vertical.
Yeah, if you remember a year ago, I can remember at least 5 to 10 times where Cal had receivers open downfield and the throw just missed, or the throw was too short or too long. And you can definitely see that they've been working on those deep passes throughout the spring, being able to complete a number of them.
As we look toward the fall and the schedule, we alluded to the opener that Cal is at North Texas Labor Day weekend. The home opener is September 9th in a huge non-conference game. Auburn comes to Cal, and after Idaho, open up conference play in Seattle against the high-powered Huskies and Michael Penix Jr., the Heisman Trophy candidate quarterback for Kalen DeBoer in Washington. Arizona State, Oregon State, back-to-back homecoming, by the way, for the game against the Beavers. Tough trip to Salt Lake City to get the two-time defending Pac-12 champions, and then USC will come in, and that's, of course, is the final season for the Trojans and the Bruins for a little while that they're going to be in this conference. And USC right before Halloween. Trip up to Oregon, the home finale against Washington State. Then the big game in Thanksgiving weekend down at the Rose Bowl against UCLA. But your final thoughts on what we saw today?
I was impressed. I really was. I didn't really know what we were going to see, but I saw a lot of great plays. I saw a lot of good talent. I saw continuity, rhythm. I'm very pleased, not just as in the booth being able to be here and call this with you, Roxy, but as a Cal alum as well.
A lot of excitement for Justin Wilcox and the Cal football team heading toward the fall. For my partner, Shane Vereen, and our Pac-12 Network crew, Roxy Bernstein. So long from Berkeley. Arizona spring football game coming up next.